Welcome back to Westbridge Hills, episode 12, with me, MrSealyp. This episode is going to be all about potatoes, pretty much. We need to sort out field 20 down by the dairy farm, and we need to get the potatoes off the field. So I'm up at the store and looking at potato harvesting equipment. Beet harvesting, there's a whole load of different stuff you can use. Potato harvesting, it's a little bit more limited. You've got the ones that are attached to a tractor, the KS 75-4, the SE 260. That's the topper, and that's the harvester kind of portion of the equipment. Then you've got the Grimme 415 or 415, whatever you call it. Obviously, the 415 is an all-in-one combined harvester for potatoes. Downside to it is that to lease is 34,320, and as you can see, my balance is not particularly great. I've been doing a little bit of contracting, but a couple of the jobs I've done have been spraying ones because I needed to do something that was quite quick, only because I just didn't have the time to sit and do a 2-hour harvest on something. So what I'm going to do in this episode, because I've used the Grimme a few times in Let's Plays recently. Now I know you can use that, I know it's quicker, absolutely, okay? And a lot of the times I'm doing these things, and this is something else I need to explain again, I'm doing it to show people different options, different ways of doing it. So if I just use the Grimme in every single Let's Play for doing potatoes, it will get a bit boring. Yes, these two are a little bit slower, and you know, that's got a smaller capacity, way smaller capacity, which means you've got to unload it more frequently. But you know what? To lease this one is $720. To lease that is $8,064. So combined, it comes in just under $9,000 to lease these two, as opposed to $34,000 to lease that. So I have leased these two, and they're outside. Now, I have put the row crops on the Puma because driving over the potato harvest is going to cause damage, so I don't want to do that. This is a really, I suppose this you can see a lot more of the goings on, what's happening on the harvester on this piece of machinery, as opposed to the 415 or 415, where a lot of what happens is kind of internal in the machine. This you can see a lot more of it. I do like this. I like the complex machinery. I do like when you see them in operation, when they have fold out, and you know, the engineering that has gone into these bits of machinery is just incredible. So we've got the topper that will take the tops off, all the sort of, you know, so stalks, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I suppose the plant that has sort of died off on the top, and this will harvest the potatoes from underground. I need to get this down to field 20. We've made it safe and sound down at field 20. Now here's a couple of things, or a thing that I need to kind of explain. If I open up the harvester now, the whole thing, if you notice, if I close it, that's his transport position, this is the operating position, so it offsets it from the tractor slightly. Let's turn the engine off. And what you will notice is the actual pickup for the harvester is now offset from the tractor, and it's not very wide, it's only that width there, which is the bit that collects the potatoes. But here's the strange thing with this setup, is that the topper is wider than the pickup for a start, plus the topper sits on the tractor at the front and is offset from the pickup, which you can see already. It's a bit of an odd one, and what you'd think that the topper would have the attachment on the tractor, but it would sit further over this way, so it would be in line with the pickup, and it's not. It's just one of those things. So what I've decided to do is bring down the trusty Massey, and change that, lower the topper down and detach it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to send off the Massey. I keep referring to the Massey. I know a lot of people in the real world refer to them as Fergies, because obviously it's Massey Ferguson. I don't know, so I always just call it a Massey in my head, but the Massey, the Fergie, the Massey Ferguson, whatever you want to call it. So the Massey Ferguson is going to go along to all the topping, and then I'm going to come along behind with the Puma and the harvesting part of the machinery and do the harvesting, both with row crops on, so it shouldn't do any damage to any of the crops as it goes. Now I'm anticipating quite a high yield off this. I did do this as a contracting job initially before I bought the field, and I think it has been ploughed and fertilised in all the states it needs to be in. So this is just going along now and just taking all of the tops off, and what it will leave behind is, if you can just, I don't know if you can see that properly, but the little stalks, tiny little stalks that are left behind, that's where the potatoes are, under the ground. So that's going to continue up and down, doing all the topping for me, and I'm going to come along behind and do the rest. So this piece of machinery, it's like all of, you know, most of the mods, most of the Giants mods, all the stuff that you get on these, the animations are just incredible. I love the fact, you'll see in a minute, all the kind of dust, the earth and stuff falls through the belts and comes out the way. With this one, you can open the pipe out. Oh, hang on, press the wrong button. Open up the pipe, ready for unloading. I love the fact the whole, like I say, the mechanics of it, how it all works, the engineering that goes into it is fascinating. Anyway, let's crack on, shall we? Now, at the moment, we've got our offset, and if you notice how narrow it is from the top, the tractor's kind of almost off the field when I'm going to start doing this. It's peculiar. We'll see how we get on. Just make sure I line up properly, otherwise I'm going to miss some. That should be about right, I think. So let's turn this on. No. There we go, belts are on, pickups down, and off we go. So as we can see, it's picking up from the belt, it's using the pickup, picking up from the ground, it's going up the belt just here. You can see all the stuff falling, all the earth and stuff falling out before, underneath the dust, and it's brilliant. It really is brilliant. And then come around to this side, all the belts in operation, coming up through the machine, round across the top and into the holding tank, I suppose holding tank, just here, which will gradually fill up. This process is not going to be quick. The pickup's not particularly wide, it's going to take a while, but if you've got a bit of time, it's not the it is the cheaper option than leasing that whole other setup. I have grabbed the Joskin trailer. We have a full load only takes about 9,000 and something litres, so I'm going to unload. Now, in yesterday's episode, when I used the Hulmer Terra variant with the twin narrows and the grain tank, and I said about going through the, you can go across the crops, it doesn't matter what side you unload from. That was just to show you, really, what you could do if you wanted to. Would you do it in real life? No, you wouldn't drive through the crops at all. That's kind of goes without saying. And if you've watched any of my Let's Plays at all, you'll know it's something that I've always avoided doing. I will either try and unload when the harvester's at the right side, or if I miss it because I'm doing something else, I will get in the harvester, pull the harvester around and still unload away from the crops. That's something I've always done. Yesterday Barris mentioned it and I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go, and you know, if people want to do that. Some people don't even put crop destruction on, they don't bother, because they'll drive across their fields, they'll go into them to unload, they don't care. When they're playing their own game, it's their own game, they can do whatever they want to do. I just thought I would show it as an option or an alternative. It's not something I generally do. So, because I've got all of my tractors in use and I am using this Terra variant as a tractor unit, I've come down to help unload. So pretty much most of my tractor machinery is now being used. The topper is working perfectly, as is the harvesting part of the machine, but you can see now how it really wouldn't have worked. Now, I could have used the Tetron 415 and probably been halfway across this field by now. With a 20,000 litre capacity and the fact it does a much wider pickup, yeah, I would have been done by now. Of course I would. But I've used it so many times. So, something different. Something to watch. Actually, turn the engine off on that. Don't need that running anymore. But it's doing a fine job. Like I say, it's going to take a while to do this, but it's fine. It's doing a good job. It'll be interesting to see how much I get off that. Bearing in mind I've got just under 10,000 litres from this strip here. I think it's been up and down about 4 times now, and I've still got all of that. There's going to be a lot. And then I have one other dilemma that I had with the sugar beet is, where do I put it all? We'll see. And apart from a couple of odds and ends here and there, that's the topping complete. I will turn that on. Drop that down just to a couple of bits that I missed. But topping is done. The harvesting is what's going to take a little bit longer. The trailer is almost full. When I've got that full trailer, I'm going to show you where I'm going to take that first one. Then I'll think about the rest after that. Did the whole field perfectly, just missed this little bit. Don't know why. It's just a few little bits here and there. Right, turn that off and lift it up. That's done a cracking job. I suppose leasing for 8,000 and something, I could have leased 2 of these, I suppose. 2 of the harvesters. There are 2 running. Still work out cheaper than leasing the Tektron. I might do that actually. I might go and grab another one. I don't know if this will pull it though. Let's have a look in harvesters. Potato harvesters. What does it require? 110 horsepower. This has got 130, so it might do. I might just do that and then get them to meet in the middle. Let's see. Now the Massey Ferguson's only just about got enough horsepower to pull this, to be fair. But it is pulling it. We have a second harvester on the go, which should speed this up. Both combined has worked out at what, 9 and 8 and a bit, about 17,000 as opposed to 34,000 for the Tektron. So I've still saved money, even though I was paid out more than I thought I was going to pay out. The other one is full. I'm going to empty that in a second. But I've now got 2 harvesters running on the field together, which will speed it all up. Smaller farms, I mean this isn't a small farm, don't get me wrong, it's a massive farm, but I haven't got many fields or much equipment at the moment, wouldn't be running Tektrons. I mean, let's be honest, they're expensive bits of machinery, £500,000 a pop. You really haven't got enough money to do that. But you're likely to have smaller bits of machinery like this, or you might even borrow it from a neighbouring farm, or you know, whatever. But I really do like these. You can see what's going on, and I like that. Off in the distance, I'm not quite sure if you can just about see it yet, over to the left of the pig farm, pig pen, whatever you want to call it, pig sty. I've bought a vehicle shelter. I'm going to use it for storage, sort of. I'm going to go kind of how I did on Goldcrest Valley when I first started out playing. I'm not going to get the pig food silo, I'm not going to do pig food pallets, I'm not going to put it in trailers, I'm going to put it on the ground. So what I'm going to do is each of the food types I need, and there are about 4, I'm going to put them under the shelter, and then I'll use a tractor with a bucket to feed the animals whenever I need to, or a telehandler or whatever I need to do. That's going to be the plan. So what I will do is now back up to here and unload. It's 31,000 litres here, so it's going to be a fair bit of it on the ground. There we go. So 31,000 litres should last the pigs a while, because root crops, root vegetables, only makes up 5% of their diet. So that 31,000 litres will sit there, and I'll put the other various different things they need under the shelter as well, and I can feed them whenever I need to. Some people do it with trailers, some people do it with a pig food silo. There are loads of different ways you can do it. On PC I know there's a pig food kind of machine that mixes it for you, so you can make your own pig food by putting all the different crops in, but I'm going to do it this way. So off to empty the second harvester I've got running now, and with 2 running it shouldn't take us too long. You can see now on the field on the left, field 19, after cutting it I then did come over, because it's darker on the actual field part, as you can see. I've sprayed it, or fertiliser spread over it, so it's in the next gross fertilising state. So I'll get maximum yield out of it again the next time. So on with the harvest. My quest for suitable I don't know, storage space for potatoes. My sugar beet are in the warehouse just through there. You can just see through there. And I remembered there's another one just here by the freight yard. So one will be for sugar beet, one will be for potatoes. I could fit both in one, but the likelihood of me using this particular shelter for anything else is unlikely. So I'm going to unload this one here. I have got the lorry that's been brought over now. That's now filling up as well. This is my second load. The first load went towards the pig food. So I can unload this here. So this will make 62,000 litres that came off the field, and then obviously the semi is filling up too. Just close that. Right. And I need to go over there rather sharpish. This can go back to the main yard, and the semi and trailer can deal with the next bit. And then the process of preparing the field for its next crop will begin with some spreading, spraying, cultivating, etc. I don't think that one needs ploughing again, but that bit's probably going to be done off screen, I would imagine. You've seen me do it. If you haven't, pop back through, have a look on this Let's Play, look at other Let's Plays. There's plenty to choose from, different styles of farming, different farms, different types. Go and have a look. Got a fair back catalogue sitting there now. I think just over 400 videos. So there's a few there just for your perusal. Yeah, right, back over to field 20 and I'll sort out the last of the potatoes. So as you can see, the last two strips are being done. I'm just trying to work out actually whether or not I'll fit it in. The semi has now got 64,000 litres, so I've got about room for 6,000. If both of these go above 3, I'm going to be left with some in one of the harvesters. But that's not too much of a problem. I think I can probably unload direct from the harvester if I drive one over. Having the two harvesters running made all the difference. It definitely sped this whole process up. There we go. So, pipe out. The other one said it's got an almost full grain tank, so yeah, we'll have some left. Pipe in. And then fold it all up. That one done. The rear wheel steering really helps on these trailers as well. Field 20 is complete. Now to prep it for the next crop. thought I'd come past field 6 on the way back. That's the storage for sugar beet just there, and the storage I'm using is just over here by the freight yard. This one, field 6, I had sugar beet in. It's not a particularly big field. The yield was about 110 or 111,000, I think I got off that in the end, of sugar beet. Field 20 I've just done with this load of 70 and 2 loads at 31, and then this last bit in the harvester. That puts it in at about 137,000 litres of potatoes. Now field 20 is a fair size compared to this one, so the yield for sugar beet is actually way higher than potatoes. Now if I go in and look at the prices for sugar beet and potatoes, sugar beet is a little bit lower than potatoes, not massively. For the amount of yield you're getting off sugar beet, you're better off doing sugar beet than potatoes, it would appear. The prices aren't particularly great, so I'm storing. So this will be the last bit. This full 70,000 will go into storage. When the price comes up a bit, I'm hoping at some point the sugar beet and the potatoes will maybe come up around 500, 600, maybe for 1,000 litres. If it does, I'll sell the lot. If it doesn't, I can just keep it here for pig food or whatever I need to do. I can sell bits when it goes up, or I might get a great demand. Who knows? Anyway, that's field 20 done. I'm going to use the culti plough on it just to make sure it's ploughed nicely and sorted out, or subsoiled anyway. And this I will unload all here. And that is the end of another episode on Westbridge Hills. Potatoes are done. I've decided what crop I'm going to put in field 20. I'm not too sure at the moment. I will think of something. Don't damage that. Still waiting on my corn harvest to do silage. And obviously soybean on my field up 13A, I think was what I called it, didn't I? Will be ready at some point soon as well. And I'm going to start gathering crops together, ready for pigs, and also think about sheep. But if you look in the top right hand corner, my finances, 106,000, are quite low. Not really enough to do very much at all. Doesn't look like, well, it's not quite, is it? That must be about 100,000, just over 100,000. But anyway, that's the end of this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share the video, please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.